Who is the most well-designed character to ever grace the Super Smash Bros. Series? The character who brings the most fun and excitement to the table while causing the least frustration. Well, those would be some great picks if it weren't for one small problem. None of them are in Smash! Oh yeah. Huh. Well, you're a Mii costume, you don't count. Seems to me like a pretty obvious question to ask, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone really think about it. Which is understandable, I guess. How do you measure fun as fair and objectively as possible, trying to use only facts to back up your arguments? It's fun. Most people will probably just say whoever they main, and I don't even mean to say that to insult them. Who else would you think is most fun to play than the character you decided you're going to spend the majority of your time playing and mastering? So, who would I say is the most fun to play from an objective perspective, just trying to ignore like my mains and any bias I may have? Well, first of all, let's talk about game design. What makes good game design? Get a bit of a definition for that. Obviously I have to acknowledge it's somewhat subjective, but there's actually a pretty effective and basically objective way to measure the quality of game design. Choice. The amount of meaningful choices that you give a player at any given time. While many people may argue whether something like Oil Ocean Zone in Sonic 2 is a well-designed zone or not, I personally like it, but most people seem not to. I don't think you'd find a single person who would disagree that the shit pit in Mystic Cave is bad game design. If you're unaware of the Sonic 2 shit pit, it's a small oversight in the 6th and otherwise very enjoyable zone in the game, Mystic Cave. Most pits in the game have nothing at the bottom and you just instantly die when you fall off the screen, regardless of any invincibility you may have. And that might sound like a bad thing, but at least dying instantly means you get back into the level and that's it. For some reason though, someone decided that this one random and particularly deep pit needed spikes at the bottom, which take a lot longer to kill you. Might not sound too bad, but if they weren't there you would just die instantly. Putting them there means you have to get hit multiple times before you're given the graceful honour of being allowed to die. Not only will you not die to the first hit as long as you have any rings, which you most certainly will, but then you also have to wait until your invincibility frames run out, and then making it even worse, in fact probably the worst thing, is that this pit is a relatively small enclosed space that when you lose your rings and they all fall out from you, they bounce off the walls, come back to you and you recollect them, which means now you have to get a hit again before you can die. It's really frustrating. You just want to die and restart the level and try again without making the mistake of falling down here. And if you fall down here as Super Sonic, then you may as well go get some snacks and come back later. For those of you who really don't know shit about Sonic, in Sonic 2 onwards, once you've collected all the Chaos Emeralds, you're able to go Super Sonic if you have 50 rings or more. While Super, Sonic moves much faster and is completely invincible, but will slowly lose one ring every second until he runs out of rings and goes back to normal. So if you fall in this pit as Super Sonic, you literally just have to leave the game for a few minutes while you wait to run out of rings. And yes, you probably guessed already, but there is no way out of this pit once you're in it. If it was possible to pull off some difficult maneuver to get back up, then this could be a fun way to give the player a second chance in a nice and challenging way. But no, you have no meaningful choice to make here, not even the choice to be able to leave. So I know what you're thinking. Why did I completely derail this Smash video to talk about the Sonic 2 shit pit? Because I think this is a perfect example of why I'm making this video. It seems completely pointless to make this video if good game design is entirely subjective and not at all capable of being pinned down to objective factors. But here's the proof I need to show you that the quality of game design can be objectively measured in some capacity by the amount of choice it gives the player. Because here we have a situation in which no choice can be made and everyone can agree that this is bad design. So now we actually have a really good way to pick out which characters are good in their design and which characters are bad. Characters with more moves and movement options and variations on those moves and movement options will generally be better designed. So with that said, how about Pac-Man? Yeah, Pac-Man has varied movement with his trampoline, side B angling and hydrant physics, and Pac-Man's bonus fruit is honestly a whole character moveset in itself. It's got so much variety. I don't think I'll ever understand the hate for this character. It seems like people just don't like that he has a projectile, like half the rest of the roster does. I seriously wanted to main this character, but I can't do it, man. I just don't have the big brain for it. I played him so much for so long that it still feels like I only shine with him 1 in every 10 games, while the other 90% I just flop around throwing out weird stuff. But oh my god, those 1 in 10 games though, my god, you feel like a fucking genius earning every stock in the most badass of ways. Seriously, Pac-Man mains out there, I have an immense amount of respect for you. Pac-Man was a character with an immense amount of potential creativity that is so rewarding to play when all the pieces fit together. So we going with that? It's Pac-Man, right? Huh. I don't know though, somehow that feels sorta wrong. Don't get me wrong, I consider Pac-Man to be one of the most well-designed characters out there, but, well, it's just like I said, Pac-Man is creative and fun when the pieces fit together. But when they don't, and you're waiting for your opportunity to strike with your next wacky trap, which is a decent chunk of time, he is just an underwhelming brawler. You mostly run away and try to set up something at a safe distance, spam oranges to keep that distance, or you go in with some simple punches and kicks. I feel like in theory Pac-Man really should be it, the pinnacle of good game design in Smash characters, but in practice his amazing gimmicks are all just so niche and awkward to apply that I can't ignore the times he isn't fun. If they made some of his worst bonus fruits more generally applicable, I would probably be happy to give it to him. But the fact that the Bell, Gala ship and Key are so much more useful than the others in the vast majority of cases can make Pac-Man feel a little bit stale. Sure, the melon's floatiness occasionally matters, and the apple's sharp bouncing angles and harsh upward launch trajectory can be useful, but the orange is usually only used as a bland get-off-me projectile, and I actually don't know if the cherry or strawberry are used for anything. They both have slightly unique trajectories, but aside from that, I don't know of any reason why you would want to use them for any situation. I think if I remember right, you can re-grab them. I say if I remember right, because I mostly played Pac-Man in Smash 4, so I don't remember as well how he changed in Ultimate, because I remember there was a lot of things you used to be able to re-grab with Pac-Man and do Z-dropping combos with that you can't do in Ultimate, which was one of the reasons that I kind of dropped off playing him, because the one thing I could do in Smash 4 with him, it was really good with Z-drop combos, and I couldn't do it in Ultimate. As well as that, of course, I've played other Smash games with Pac-Man in it, mostly, of course, fan-made ones, so because of that, it's pretty hard for me to remember which ones it works which ways. But I think if I remember right, you can just barely re-grab the strawberry, but you can't re-grab the cherry in Ultimate, I think. I don't remember, honestly, at this point. But that's the only use I could think of, and even then, you would rather have the bell. So if not Pac-Man, who is it? I suppose what we're looking for is probably someone that forces interaction a little bit more. Because Pac-Man kind of likes to push people away to set up his traps, sometimes it can feel like he's playing a completely different game, and he kind of is. How about someone who goes in a little more? Someone who uses their fast movement to overcome their shortcomings by rushing down opponents with crazy aggression that hits too hard and fast for opponents to reliably counter with just reacting to it with the appropriate move. A fan favourite character who may have a bit of a made up moveset, but is still well beloved regardless. Yeah. It's all becoming clear now, of course. The best character in Smash by how well designed they are. It was Sandbag! Oh, you think I'm joking? Really now? Oh, I see the problem. Yeah, I'm not talking about that Smash game. I'm talking about this one, Super Smash Flash 2. Alright, I see that I'm probably going to have to explain for the uninformed. Super Smash Flash was just what it sounded like, a Flash game that tried to be like Smash Brothers. It's certainly worth giving a try, but the first game was definitely more of a novelty for me than anything else. You could have some fun with it for a bit, but the enjoyment would probably eventually drop off. The same could not be said, though, for its amazing sequel. It's sometimes really hard to believe that this could just run on a website in your browser. SF2 is a fast-paced, competitive blast that absolutely lives up to the reputation of the original games. Flash may be dead now, but the game has always been available for download as well to just play on your PC without having to use your browser anyway, so you can still just go play it for free right now if you want. In fact, it recently was updated to add the last 2 final smashes that were needed for every character in the game to have one. SF2 isn't just a made-for-PC free alternative to Smash though. It of course has its own original content to bring to the table. It adds characters like Tails, Waluigi, Chibi Robo, Bandana D, and even some characters from animes that would never make it into Smash otherwise if that's what you're into, like Goku, Luffy, and Ichigo. And of course, more than that, I'm not going to list every single one. Not to mention already existing characters who have new and different movesets in SF2, like Sonic, Mega Man, and Simon Belmont. So there's a lot of cool stuff in this game, and overall I have to say it feels really great to play, even with my over a decade-year-old bootleg USB Xbox controller. I only really have 2 issues with how it feels to play. One being that hit stun is really long in this game for some reason, but that does also make cool combos easier to perform. And the other being that for some reason, only an extremely small selection of moves can be B-reversed in this game, which is annoying to adjust to for me because using B-reverses to mix up my movement was one of the few advanced techniques I actually learned to be able to do consistently. That being said though, I imagine the majority of you watching don't even know what B-reversing is, so if you don't, then this won't even be an issue for you. With all of that out of the way, we get to SSF2's quote-unquote joke character, released on April Fool's Day. So what's the deal with Sandbag? Well, they're heavy and they hit like a truck even with their jabs and tilts, let alone their enormous and game-ending smash attacks. Despite that though, they don't fall into the normal trap most heavies do of being slow and attacking people. Make no mistake, Sandbag is fast and boy can they combo. Bear combos into itself disgustingly well and has great frame data, and so does Nair and Pear, which is what I like to call up air, instead of just saying up air. Come on, we say it for all the other ones, let's just say Pear. I know it's you air, but like, that doesn't work. Anyway, not to mention, even if you are a little too slow to land your hits, Sandbag's girthy aerials basically never lose a clash. So if both of you hit each other at the same time, Sandbag will almost always be the one to win that trade. In fact, you can literally just delete most projectiles in the entire game by just nairing through them as Sandbag. Which, by the way, I don't think has any landing lag at all. I mean, it might. I don't have the literal amount of frames. I couldn't find it on the wiki, but the only projectile I've seen so far that Sandbag Nair doesn't completely delete from the game just by touching it is a fully charged Samus neutral B. Even then, if the Samus's neutral B is a millisecond away from full charge and they fire it off, you can still completely delete it with Nair and take 0% and no knockback and not even get any hit stun or anything. Oh yeah, and did I mention their grab game is brutal? Because it is. Forward throw is a kill move stronger than Ness's back throw, and down throw is a combo throw that guarantees free true combos with aerials out of it at all percents. I don't know, about 500%, but I mean, I've seen it work at like 180 and stuff like that, so all percents you're realistically going to get in an actual game at least. On top of all this, they also have a projectile and they have a command grab, so you wouldn't be blamed for potentially thinking Sandbag is the same sort of joke character as Sandbert in Rivals of Aether. Wait, did I just bring up another Smash-inspired game not everyone watching will know about? Rivals of Aether is another amazing platform fighter that I feel exceeds the quality of Smash in everything except its smaller character roster, and it too had an April Fool's joke character. Theirs was an intentionally overpowered character made just for fun that was obviously not allowed in competitive play, so maybe that's what Sandbag is. Let's just check the most recent SSF2 official tier list here. They're the third worst character in the game? Third worst? Okay, so I may have been holding back Sandbag's weaknesses from you, but even with them in mind, that placement shocks me. You see, Sandbag is a little different from the other characters you might have noticed. Sandbag is a sandbag. They have no arms, no legs, not even a mouth, just eyes and a body. So you'll have to excuse them for struggling with a few things most characters may find trivial. For one, running isn't exactly their forte. Without legs, Sandbag can handle short bursts of speed, but constantly needs to stop when trying to continuously run. Without feet, they also struggle to keep balance, so although their dash attack is brutally strong and their grab game is terrifying, performing a grab or attack while dashing will cause Sandbag to trip afterwards. Luckily, Sandbag is blessed with what I have to imagine is easily the most powerful get-up attack in the game, but even that doesn't stop tripping from holding Sandbag back. Still, surely you can overcome that. Just get used to jumping before you have to stop running, and don't use dash attack. Short hop nairs will still quickly hit the person in front of you while being relatively safe to throw out and having less end lag. You'd still need to dash grab, but your aerials are terrifying and should be especially effective at conditioning your opponent to shield and make those dash grabs nice and easy. You only trip if you miss your dash grab, and you can scare opponents into their shields by switching out approaching nairs for approaching fairs when they get into the 80s in percentage. Because oh yeah, did I mention fair is fast and kills as early as most smash attacks? Yeah, that's the thing. Surely this character is busted if we just adapt to that limitation. Well, maybe, but there is one more great weakness of Sandbag I've kept from you. Their recovery. Whatever demonic psychokinetic black magic Sandbag uses to grab opponents without hands sadly does not work on grabbing ledges. Yes, Sandbag is completely incapable of grabbing the ledge in any circumstance, and with only the 2 standard jumps, that is a massive problem. So what is their up B they can use when all else fails? My god. It's so majestically, wonderfully, gloriously stupid. I love it. So yes, quite literally, your recovery with Sandbag is willingly blowing yourself up and praying it launches you back on stage. You can certainly improve this recovery by using their side B leap for horizontal recovering, DI and SDIing the bomb's explosion, and landing the tech whenever it launches you into a wall or ceiling. But still, a lot of what happens is beyond your control. Your opponent has time to gimp you if they're feeling cocky, and even if you recover perfectly, it's unlikely your landing will go unpunished and you won't make it back without having to harm yourself a decent amount. So, this was my experience with Sandbag until recently. When I first got into SSF2, they were around the bottom of mid-tier or top of bottom tier, and I believe that if people simply put in the time to get good with them, we'd see them hit high mid-tier at least. We just needed to wait. A few years later, and now Sandbag is a true bottom tier, having only stagnated in competitiveness, and I'm starting to see how it all fell apart. Sure, your punish game is fucking brutal, but in competitive games you can't just rely on your opponent to make mistakes. Meanwhile, to earn their disgustingly destructive punish game, Sandbag bears the weight of multiple downsides that create potential mistakes for yourself for your opponent to punish. I suppose it was always a little far-fetched for this character to be any good. It was never gonna work. But then, you might be asking, why would they be worthy of the title I gave them of the most well-designed Smash character if they rely on opponent mistakes and aren't competitively viable at all? Well, I did say that was my experience until recently. You see, this whole time I had forgotten that I had still not figured out what down B did. I felt sure it must be a counter, a reflector, or some kind of move like Jigglypuff rests, because computers would never use it, and all it seemed to do was make Sandbag flash and float in place for a second. I thought maybe it's a counter that kills at stupidly low percents, but has an extremely tight window to land, and that theory was a satisfactory explanation to me. Eventually I kind of forgot I never actually figured out what it does, until I got Sandbag on random a few weeks ago and... Wait, what? No, you don't understand. This changes everything. This changes absolutely everything. Now Sandbag isn't just fast to attack, but fast to move too. He can fling himself from one side of the stage to the other in under a second with this move. I thought for sure this move must put you in a lot of lag if it lets such a powerhouse move so fast. But no, this move has no lag and you're free to use any move you want for the entire duration it flings you. You can even basically wave dash using it by flinging yourself directly into the ground because yes, this entire slide is actionable. Combine this with Nair and you have a safe way to instantly hit someone on the other side of the stage who isn't shielding. And if they are shielding, guess what? You can grab while sliding, and then forward throw them and kill them at 60%. Very nice. Or even if they come to expect that, you can mix it up with a side B command grab. Now, Sandbag's running and tripping is no longer a problem. Because why would you want to run on the ground? Your aerial mobility is unprecedented and puts Jigglypuff to shame. Even if you want to use a grounded move, you can just do this into the ground and use the slide momentum instead of dashing. This is insane. But I suppose it doesn't help the fact that Sandbag's recovery is still abysmal. And I suppose that was always the larger issue. Wait, what? You can do it up? You can use it as a third jump? And hitting yourself with up B replenishes the down B jump every time? Alright, that's it. I'm taking my damn stand here. Sandbag is at the very least an A tier that is only unrecognized because people have not put in the time to master them. I am trying to see what irreconcilable flaws they have. But where are they? Everything bad about Sandbag we've seen is fixable with skilled play. You're a big target that's good combo food? Well, you have a Nair that instantly knocks anyone out of the way and also has almost no end lag and will beat almost any move in a clash. You can't run far? Why are you running? Down B instead! You can't use your dash attack for a fast approaching attack without having to trip over? Then just use down B and Nair. Oh, but the same happens when I grab and I have to be on the ground to grab. Just use the slide momentum from down B, and in fact that still counts as a standing grab as long as you don't hold forward while you're sliding, even though you are moving forward while grabbing. So yeah, you don't even trip over if you miss that. And your recovery is bad? I don't know about that. Like, yeah, it's definitely not good, but so bad that it balances out a character with so much else going for them? I'm not sure about that, man. I mean, you're constantly able to move in 6 directions basically whenever you like. You can down B to move upwards, you can down B to move down and to the left, you can down B to move down and to the right, you can side B to move up and to the right, you can side B to move up and to the left, and you can fast forward to move down. And on top of that, you also have, you know, the single double jump that everyone else will have. And when all else fails, you can just use your up B, which will replenish your side B and down B. So if you don't have your side B or down B, yes, you will have to blow yourself up once, but as long as that doesn't kill you on the spot, then you have the ability to move in any direction you want again. Like, I don't see the problem. You see, a lot of bad recoveries, at least in competitive play, it isn't even necessarily they don't get to the back to the ledge, although that is obviously a downside. It's usually that they're completely predictable and there's no way you can mix them up, so people just go out there and spike you. But you have so many ways to mix up Sandbag's recovery that even though it is slow, and even though it is difficult, I have to say, I don't think it looks that bad in competitive. Not to mention that even though you might take a decent amount of percentage blowing yourself up, as long as you don't die, which again, with DI, SDI, and good teching, you shouldn't. As long as you don't die and make it back to the stage, you'll be fine, because Sandbag is so heavy the percentage hardly matters to them. As long as they don't get gimped, they'll be fine. But what does competitive viability have to do with good game design? Well, I bring it up because I feel that Sandbag is a very unique case, and these completely polarized views on his viability are well justified because of it. Sandbag is a character that has a myriad of tools to realistically hit you while having a high chance of getting away with it, but nothing really foolproof. Approaching airs are almost completely safe, but can be shielded and potentially punished with a grab if predicted by a quick-witted player. Space fares may be able to hit shields from a safe range to not get grabbed, but are also one of Sandbag's only aerials with a decent amount of end lag to get punished with if the opponent reacts fast. Approaching slide grabs may get through shields, but could be interrupted and punished by a simple jab. Retreating sliding neutral Bs can get you a nice safe projectile, which yeah, you can use that foolproof completely safely, but only if you manage to get it in time. If the opponent is expecting a retreat when you slide back getting it, then they can run in and interrupt you before you get your capsule and you're completely trapped in your neutral B, you can't cancel it. Sandbag's unique movement opens so many strong options, but every option could be punished if predicted. But you have so many options that predicting would be hard for the opponent. You see, almost every character that becomes hated in Smash is hated because they can create a situation where you can guess exactly what they're going to do every time. But whatever it is that they're gonna do is so stupidly safe and effective that knowing full well that they will do it won't help you in being able to counter them. Sandbag by definition seems to completely counteract that. Play predictable and even your most unfairly powerful moves will get punished, and if they knock you off stage, then you'll be punished hard. But it's not like Sandbag is at an unfair disadvantage. They have all the tools they need to be unpredictable and murder their opponent for guessing wrong. Sandbag makes the game all about observing patterns and habits in your opponent and exploiting them to get an advantage, and then pushing that advantage in the most stylish and devastating way possible. And at the end of the day, isn't that the core of what makes Smash so fun? Not just regularly poking at your opponent's shield from a safe distance, but sporadically switching between dancing around your opponent's attacks to charging directly into them with everything you have. A lot of the brawlers are like this, but Sandbag is special. I don't think any character does it as perfectly as Sandbag does, to the point where it really feels like this is what the character is all about. I really like this down B if you couldn't tell. And it really gives you a lot more options to catch people off guard and mix them up. You see, a lot of characters, if their only way to get in is a mix-up, then that can make them pretty bad and lock them out of the higher tiers, because sometimes your opponent is just going to guess right. And if you don't have something that can get them even if they guess right, then you're going to struggle. But then, that's also why Sandbag is such good design. If you have a move that will punish someone even if they know you're going to do it, that's not really good design, even though it probably will make you a high tier. Sandbag gets to be powerful without having to stoop to that level by just genuinely having amazing mix-up potential with their down B. There's a certain point where once you get so many mix-ups and so many different ways to approach a situation, even if all your options are technically punishable, if they had to be punished in different ways and predicting it is going to be so difficult between the multiple different viable options, then I think it's fair to say that you can't say that it isn't viable to use Sandbag because he relies on mix-ups when you have this good of a mix-up game. I mean, seriously, look at this clip. I'm being serious here. What do you think I'm going to do? Just this freeze frame right here. How do you think I'm going to approach this situation and try and attack this sword? I mean it, like, I'm going to give you all the time you want to, like, pause the video and think and guess. And then inevitably see people comment the right answer because they watched ahead and then commented afterwards. But anyway, I'm going to guess a decent amount of you will have guessed that you thought I would run off the left side of this platform and go for some kind of fast fall there. Or maybe you're clocked on, obviously I'm going to mention something to do with down B. So maybe I do it with a diagonally downwards and forwards down B here off the left side of this platform. You probably didn't guess I was going to run off the right side of the platform, down B into the ground on purpose to trip me when I land, because Sandbag's get up attack is extremely powerful and safe, and I actually want to use get up attack to cover as much ground as possible while also making me less vulnerable because I'm laid down, which makes it harder for me to get hit, and also I have some invincibility frames as I'm getting knocked onto the ground. Yeah, this is a really unconventional option, but it works. It works well too. And that's not to say the other options were wrong. It was completely valid for me to go off the left side of the platform instead of the right side and go for an air or something with or without the down B, which of course would have changed the timing. And as well as that, I could have also gone for a back air for combos, forward air if I wanted to try and get an early kill and I didn't mind the end lag on it. Up air if I wanted to go for an upwards combo, which honestly I think would probably be stronger than back air, but again, if they were predicting up air, then back air would be better. Hell, I might even have been able to go for a cheeky dare spike here. There's so many ways I could have approached this situation. Oh yeah, and before I get off this topic, if you're wondering how I trip myself when I land with down B, if you down B into the ground and don't fast fall, use a air dodge or throw out an attack before you hit the ground, and you've been traveling long enough, then when you hit the ground, you will trip instantly. If you are close enough to the ground, even if you don't do anything, you won't trip, you'll just slide. And if you're far and away enough that the move ends before you hit the ground, then it also won't happen. Oh yeah, and by the way, if all this brutal combo game just doesn't look like enough of a reward for you for playing Sandbag, well, how about this? The sliding that you get from using your down B into the ground can be used to ledge cancel just about any move that you can use on the ground. And although obviously most people wouldn't be able to do this, if you theoretically got crazy skill with Sandbag, you could cut the end lag off of just about all of your grounded moves by just constantly using edge cancelling. And let me stop myself there. I nearly blasphemed against Sandbag. I said grounded moves. You can do it with aerial moves too. Obviously you have to be standing on the ground for you to do a ledge cancel, but if you land on the ground when you haven't finished doing an aerial yet, you will get landing lag. And you can ledge cancel landing lag, which is really useful with forward air, because I mentioned that's one of his only aerials that actually has a decent amount of lag, you know, because it kills. But even if that is too out there and too difficult and too insane for you to try, you could always just edge cancel dash attack. Yes, I just edge cancelled dash attack into a fair, which killed. And your problem is? But if all that isn't enticing enough, then let's talk about his chonky spike.
What the dog doing?
Which I'm very surprised I haven't brought up yet, honestly. At least not much. But even that has a lot of uses with edge cancelling. This specifically is a very good clip to demonstrate. I'm using my down B to come directly at this tails hang at the ledge, and I'm going to throw out a forward air just before I land, because that means that if the tails just does a normal get up, then they are going to get fared off the side of the screen. Which, yes, that will kill. There's a decent chance it would do the same against get up attack too, so this is a pretty scary situation for the tails to be in. Now, the one problem with using forward air like this is that I mentioned before, it's basically the only aerial Sandbag has that actually has a decent amount of end lag on it if you land before it finishes. But of course, all that lag is cancelled by me sliding off the edge here and then getting to just spike them to their death instantly afterwards. This is a very powerful little maneuver you can do. Of course, it's not perfect. It would lose to dodge roll onto stage, and it also could potentially be beaten out by get up attack. But also keep in mind that you don't have to commit to this. You can do the down B towards them and then do a back air to catch them if they dodge roll, or if they were going to get up attack, you could react with shield when you landed instead of throwing out a fair, and then sliding off and then double jumping and doing a back air at them. Or if you don't slide off, it'd be pretty easy to get a grab out of your shield on them, and that close to the edge, it doesn't even matter if you're not facing the right direction. Although forward throw will kill earlier, back throw also does kill pretty damn early. So that will probably be the end for them. Oh yeah, and while we're on the topic of this amazing spike, you can also use your projectile and Z dropping to set up other traps if you don't want to go for that. Alright, let's end this out by talking about a few of the little things. I'm mostly talking about moves that I just haven't talked about as much as I'd like to. I mentioned at the beginning that even your jabs and tilts are pretty strong as Sandbag. Well, I feel like I really should have shown exactly what I meant. As you can see, this jab does a decent amount of damage and knocks pretty far. And it comes out relatively fast too, and it beats out a lot of moves. So it's very good as, you know, a get off me tool. Forward tilt 2 also tends to power through a lot of moves if something attacks it at the same time, as well as having good range, and it not mattering which direction you're facing when you use it, it will turn around to hit where you want it to. But I think the real unsung hero is down tilt. Up tilt's definitely the best, but I mean, up tilt is obviously the best. It starts combos super easily and combos into itself a lot of the time. Down tilt is kind of innocuous, but it actually seemed pretty good to me. At first it seemed kind of like dash attack, like a punishable move that I should stop using, and I'm just using it right now because it's easy to use while I'm crouching and all that as a get off me tool. But it genuinely seems to send at a good angle to start combos, and you can actually use it pretty quickly. You wouldn't have thought so. It looks like the kind of move that would be laggy, especially with the way they kind of roll across the ground sort of slowly and don't cover much ground. But the end lag on this move is actually basically non-existent. As soon as you're done rolling and as soon as that hitbox disappears, you're basically free to start another one. But finally, there's one last thing I wanted to mention about side B. And it feels a bit weird bringing it up now, considering we brought side B up multiple times and I didn't bring this up yet, but it just didn't fit in easily. But I think it's worth mentioning. A very unexpected way you can kill sometimes surprisingly early is with side B. Now this may seem strange because I've already told you how forward throw and back throw are amazing kill throws, and this doesn't do that much knockback, so you would think that side B is not a good kill move. However, side B can be used in midair, and as well as that, it goes very far, well, sideways. Which means that if someone's very close to the left or right blast zone, if you're feeling ballsy, you can just throw yourself into that blast zone and grab them and then chuck them in, and then try to make it back. As much as I sound pessimistic there about your chances of making it back, in the clip you saw there, you see that I managed to make it back without even having to blow myself up once. It replenished my side B. Oh yeah, you. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of Captain Falcon. Yeah, that might come as a surprise. I know he's a fan favourite, but I just don't get it. I mean, I don't think he's a terrible character, but I don't find him particularly fun either. I just feel very neutral about him. I really don't understand why people seem to think he's so hype. I guess it's just because he's fast and aggressive, but to be honest, I don't think it really helps that I feel like Captain Falcon is best at styling on people who are already bad at the game and not really that good actually in competitive play. I mean, not terrible, definitely not unusable, but this doesn't seem like one of the best picks. It's just like, he doesn't have really unique movement options besides just running fast. He doesn't have any sort of interesting trap setups or anything. All of his specials are kind of useless, to be honest. Well, not literally useless, but you know, figuratively useless. Very niche in use. Yeah, I'm not really into Captain Falcon. Not much else to say. Tell me in the comments, who do you think is the best designed Smash character? And also, if you want to, tell me who your favourite is if it's different. Because I'm not going to look down on anyone for having their favourite Smash character be someone they also aren't going to acknowledge as the best designed. I mean, for as much as I praised Sandbag here, and don't get me wrong, Sandbag is definitely one of my preferred characters. Sandbag is still not my most played in Smash Flash, and is not my main, although to be fair, I don't really have a main in the first place. Anyway, obligatory like, comment, subscribe, see ya, bye.